Oh, all right. Hey, everyone. So I'm in my car right now, LOL. But I hope everyone's having a good day. My name is Kay. I'm the lead organizer over at Spark Reproductive Justice Now. And we're going to have a great day today. This week is Trans Week of Visibility. So I want to start out with introductions before we like kind of go through everything. So I would love to hear folks' name, pronouns, and what made you feel seen this week since we're talking about Trans Week of Visibility. So folks can go. Or we can do popcorn, whichever one.
My name is Cal. My pronouns, I use any pronouns. What made me feel seen this week is, well, I don't know what you consider this week, but on Sunday I finished my short film project, and that was fun. And I don't know if there were any other questions, but yeah.
Congratulations. And yeah, that's it. It's pretty much just your name, pronoun, and then what made you feel seen this week. And the week can be however you define the week as. Anyone else like to go?
Hi, my name is Coco. My pronouns are she, her. What made me feel seen this week? I talked to my psychiatrist, and I haven't had a psychiatrist in years, and I felt listened to for the first time in a long time.
Love that. Love that. I'm happy that you had that moment. Anyone else? Anyone else like to go?
My name is Hazel, and I use she, her pronouns. And this week I got I got hired for a job I applied for. So that made me excited.
Hi everyone. My name's Kayla. I use she, her pronouns. I'm actually calling in from Wisconsin, not Georgia or Atlanta. I just found y'all's website and stuff, and I was curious, and I didn't know that it was going to be such an intimate group. So I might hang on for a little bit and just see the vibes and stuff, and then jump out and let you all do your meeting. But one thing that made me feel seen this week was I've been like playing with outfits to capture different moods, and my partner was really great at like noticing and affirming, like not just like that outfit's nice, but the specificity of like what energy I was trying to play with.
Hey y'all, I'm Asha. I am the community organizer with Spark Reproductive Justice Now. My pronouns are she, hers. Something that made me feel seen this week. Just being outside and interacting with random people. I really love the energy exchange with folks. And it's like, I saw their energy, they saw my energy, and we just threw it back at each other. And I love that. That was like every warm day I had went outside. So satisfied. And we have folks that visit us from all over the US and sometimes out of the country. So don't feel like you need to leave. The network is broad and vast.
Hi everyone. Oh,
Go ahead, sister.
sorry. Sorry. I'm gonna go ahead and go because I have a quiet moment on the metro right now. But hi Hi, everyone. My name is Nora. I use they, them pronouns. And what made me feel seen this week was a friend surprised me with a packed dinner since I've been fasting for Ramadan. So it was really sweet for them to do that. Nice to see everyone.
I'll go real quick. Hey everyone. Akbo, she, her pronouns. I'm the policy and advocacy director with Spark. Way I felt seen this week. I finally got, I guess, a diagnosis of sorts for some pain I've been having. So that was really, really helpful and affirming to have that as something I can treat. So yeah, I felt really seen in that moment.
Alafia family, I am Kafri Kuju Chakalia Biff. He, him, his pronouns. I'm like Coco. What made me feel seen this week was I had been in therapy for the last part of last year, but then kind of fell off in November, December, and today was my first session back. And when I was in therapy prior, I was there for one specific reason, focused on one specific thing. And this time I shared several traumas that I had growing up and into my adult life. And my therapist said to me that he always knew I was a strong person, but after hearing what I shared with him, that he thinks that that I'm even more resilient and stronger than he ever believed I was.
I'll go. My name's Alyssa. I use she, her pronouns. Um, what made me feel seen this week is I had a doctor's appointment and today, and my driver was a really super cool guy, and I took a lift, and so he was I'm disabled, and he's been struggling to get his disability, and I kind of let him know, the struggle that I went through to get my disability, and we were kind of just like vibing and talking about, the struggles and everything like that. And um, he was a much older gentleman, but it was just kind of, I don't know if cool is the way to describe it, but we were just kind of like vibing, about, going through the same struggles and stuff like that. And it was really um fascinating that, I mean, like someone's going through, you're not the only one struggling in the world, but just to come across someone that, is having the same struggles as you and stuff like that. And it was just, it was really heartening to know that someone is struggling the way you're struggling and stuff like that, and going through the things that you're going through. And I tried to give them some encouraging words to, stick with it and know that, it'll happen soon and not to give up. Thank you.
Thank you for
I can,
sharing.
oh,
Oh, go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I can go. Everybody's been sharing like really deep emotional things, but this week has been like, I don't know, no thoughts. I've been busy with school. I'm Vendela. I use she, her pronouns. I just switched into civil engineering. And a time I felt seen this week was I was walking on the street and to my class, and some random person just complimented me on my glitter. And I really take pride in my makeup. So it was really nice for somebody to notice that. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. I might be the last person. I'm not sure, but hope I'm not cutting anyone off. I'm Erica Gonzalez. I use she, her pronouns, and I felt seen this week with just chatting with friends and things like that. So.
Okay, awesome. Wait, is it one more person? Someone just joined. If you just joined, we're just doing introductions. So if you can just say your name, your pronouns, and what was the moment you felt seen you felt seen today?
Hi, my name is Trinity. My pronouns are she, her. I guess an instance where I felt seen this week was when I was walking to my local corner store and I saw this older Black woman who reminded me of my mother. And she told me that I look very nice. She told me I look very well put together. That's what she said. And I just took it as a compliment. And like I said, because she reminded me of my mother and I haven't seen her in a long time, it just made me feel seen in a very like special way. So yeah, that was one way that I was seeing this week.
Was that
Hi,
everyone?
I'm Robin. I use she, her pronouns. I felt seen this week when I went to Grady Hospital. I had to go to the ER. We were there for like hours, and it's been like really challenging trying to take care of my son by myself. So the staff mostly was really kind. Like they were just helping me with him because I was in so much pain, and they were just really attentive and keeping him busy. One of the nurses ended up walking him outside so he would get some fresh air and blow off some energy. And she gave him snacks and stuff, so that helped a whole lot. And then there was another doctor who kept him busy while the other doctors took care of me. So it was just really comforting to have that experience.
Same. Someone said, hope all is well. Was there anyone else that hadn't gone yet? I think that's pretty much everybody. Okay, great. Well, if not, you can just drop all the things in the chat, name, pronouns, and then the icebreaker question I asked, which was, when did you feel seen today? But basically today we're going to just map out today's agenda we're going to take a quick break after I map out the agenda. Just so folks can like grab something to eat. We do Uber Eats vouchers, so I'm going to drop that in the chat afterwards after I'm done talking. But when we come back, for the most part, we'll just be jumping into a discussion with Trinity and V. Trinity just introduced herself, but V will be here soon around 6:40 when we come back. And basically they'll be doing a talk around the essentials, which was Spark's resource guide. They both collaborated and did an amazing job working on it during their light fellowship here over at Spark. So they're going to have a conversation about like their process and also have an important conversation around community care. And then also wanted to quickly plug in some things for folks before I drop that. Or Asha, if you wouldn't mind, could you drop the Uber Eats voucher in the chat? But just wanted to plug in some things. So this week is Trans Week of Visibility. Friday is Trans Day of Visibility. If you check out our Instagram, you can see all the events that we have going on this week. We have a lot going on. We have Tomorrow we have Community Breath, which is just a space for folks to kind of come together and talk about SB 140 and also have the opportunity to be a part of a sound healing session, which will be amazing. That'll be facilitated by Saint, who's a local all things. I lost everything that they do. They do so much. But yeah, you'll have a chance to connect with them and learn more about what they do, but also have a moment to be able to take in all the things that they can bring into that space. And that'll be tomorrow at 6:30 at our Spark office. But if you check the Instagram, you'll have all that information. Friday, we're going to do a Black queer figure drawing, which will be facilitated by some local organizers and artists. It's really dope. It's amazing. I've been to a few before, but we're going to have it. That's going to be on Friday, the day of Trans Day of Visibility. And then we're going to close out with an artist market that is in collaboration with the Black Queer Artist Market. And it'll be like vendors, and then it'll be like 2 different workshops. I don't know the workshops by off memory, because I'm not that good yet. But if you check out our Instagram, you can have all that information there. So yeah. Also wanted to uplift that we're hiring soon. So the applications for our community organizer and communications associate close Friday as well. So if you're interested, go ahead and check out the job description and apply. Why not? Yeah. And also, I can't see. Were you able to drop it in the chat, Asha? Or you dropped it, thanks.
Yes,
And
and
then
I'm
lastly,
also gonna add, I'm going to add some of the details for the events, or I'm gonna add our IG so that y'all can just click that
Right.
even if you're on a computer. I'm gonna make things simple. I'm dropping stuff in the chat.
Thank you so much. Also, if you want to subscribe to our newsletter, I'm going to drop that link in the chat. I know it's a lot of links. But y'all going to be on break, so you'll have some time to be able to check out all those things and plug in and connect in the ways that you want. So yeah, we're going to go on break. Asha, do you have anything else before we go on break? Okay, we're going to take a 15-minute break. So we come back at 6:35, and then we'll chat a bit, and then let the folks Trinity and V do their thing. Asha, do you have any music? I'm connected to my phone. I would have played it, but
I will. I'll play some music.
okay. I'm in the car, so I can just play the radio.
He want a white man running. That should be fun for about night. Don't be Carver. Don't call me Kim. Got to have a foot in the window. It's like 50 feet. Why? I got many men. I be fresh. Prince of Linens with no neck. Shockwave flying. Yeah. Queen of the dime. Yeah. Man, I'm so hard. Make it look easy without trying. I ain't ready for too many, but I got plenty. Don't ask me back on just know that my six. Okay, he's the oil lead, yo, not the big lead, yo. He just big guy, choose the pink, yo. He think we funny kick, yo. To me, he just big, yo. I just want it fun. Then they feel they in the lead, right? Call me glitter, take your
That's like if we had more time, we could live forever. Just you and I, we could be together. That's like could be together. That's life. If we had more time, we could live forever. Just you and I, we could be together. That's life. If we had more time.
If you want to eat healthy and feel your best, you gotta try Kachava. Kachava is the
Yeah, yeah, it's time. It's time to be blossom like flowers. Yeah, yeah, it's time. It's time to be deeply after hours. I know you're shy, but I need a little look or a sign that tells me you're ready to wander into me to let it go. I can dim the lights and it makes you feel more easy on the mind. Yeah, we can take it slow. There's nothing here to hide. Oh, I'll give you everything. Yeah, I'll give you everything. Yeah, every little piece of me. Oh, yeah, yeah, this time we're gonna drown in your sweet love. There is no shame in your sweet love. This is unconditional, my love. I know you're shy, but I need a little look of a sign that tells me you're ready to unwind, yeah. Into me, let it go. I can dim the lights, yeah. It makes you feel more easy on the mind, yeah. Give it to me slow. There's nothing left to hide. Oh, and I give you everything, yeah. I give you everything, yeah. Every single breath that I breathe, every little piece of me. So what's it gonna be? Oh, and I give you everything, yeah. I give you everything, yeah. Every single breath that I breathe, every little piece of me.
I was chasing oasis, champagne supernova. I on the walls of the city, and do we all live forever? Take a shot, take a big one. I get lost in the head rush. Don't look back in the morning. Not the job, not the foreman. My tears are frozen in golden brandy. Into the mirror I stare. My thoughts are clouded in cotton candy. Into So then I go and run away, and then I go and run away, and then I go and run away, so 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 then I go and run away.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for turning it down. I appreciate it. But I would love to know what folks ordered, or did y'all find anything good to eat?
Hi, I'll share. Hi. There's a local Jamaican restaurant I've been wanting to try, so I ordered from them.
Ooh. Good. Anybody else?
Tilapia. I actually was working on my application for community organizer position with you guys.
Period.
I would have did a deep dive during that time.
Okay, okay. Period.
But I'm gonna eat.
Okay, you should definitely. And oh, someone said study vegan. Okay, period, study vegan. One second. Sorry, y'all. Hey, I seen your message in the chat, Robert. I'll definitely get on that. Just give me 1 second and then I'll inbox you. Sorry about that. How about anybody else? Anybody else get anything? No? Okay. Well, I'm sure whatever other folks got, I'm sure it's probably be delicious. I definitely want to eat some Jamaican food this week. And then I always love Slim Vegan. So that's good too. So thank y'all for sharing. So yeah, we're just waiting. Let's see. Um, so I'm not sure if folks have ever heard of the Essentials, but it's Sparks Resource Guide, like I was saying before. So we're just gonna wait a second for Trinity and V to be ready. I know Trinity's here right now, but we're just waiting on V to hop on in a second. Um, yeah, thanks, Agba. And then yeah, um, yeah, might have to just wait like a few more minutes for the other person to hop on, so that we can get started. So probably in about 2 minutes, maybe.
Cool beans.
Okay, thank you. Asha, would you mind playing some music for a few more moments, just until V hops
No
back?
problem.
Okay.
Bear with me. Bear with me and my technology abilities. Lo siento. We're gonna listen to some Cali Uchis.
Things can get very busy very fast. With Grammarly monitoring my writing for spelling, grammar, punctuation, readability, and vocabulary, I can get through writing scripts.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Thank you. All right, so one of the folks are here, Trinity. So I'm gonna let them introduce themselves until V hops back on. So I'll let you take the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Trinity. It's so nice to meet you all. I know I got on the call initially a little bit late, but hello. I'm really grateful to be here. I am one of the 2022 Light Fellows that was with Spark. V and I, we collaborated together during our fellowship with Spark to create The Essentials, which is a trans resource guide that we created for trans and non-binary folks in the Atlanta metro area to kind of help them get access to the gender affirming care and support and things that they need within their community. A lot of resources and things have become more available to trans folks over the years, but we're still finding that a lot of trans and non-binary folks are still having trouble accessing them or knowing where to go and how to go through the process of getting them. So we just wanted to design something that would help make that process a little bit easier. So we created this based off a lot of different resources that we had already had in the community, connections and friends and family members, community members that we would reach out to see what resources and things that they could use or that they could, give to us that we could list in the resource guide. We also, Spark had already had this like really vast database of folks that they had been in touch with. So they also lent that to us as well. And we were able to reach out to those folks. We did like a lot of online canvassing and things like that throughout the process. But overall, it was just a very, very loving, a very, very, it was a very hard process in a way. I won't say hard. I think that's the wrong word to use. It was very challenging process, but there was a lot of growth that came from it. I know for me in a lot of different ways, and I was just so grateful that I could do something that could like help my community in such a great way, something that could really give back I know that since I started my transition, I've been in isolation and in depression for a long time. And being able to start the Light Fellowship was like an opportunity for me to kind of like get back into organizing in a real way and to kind of like find purpose again in life and to like figure out who I was and like how I could really like not just get from people, but how I could give something too. I find a lot of purpose and like a lot of happiness in what I can give too. You know what I mean? So doing the Light Fellowship and creating this resource guide was very healing. We've had a lot of people so far that have reached back out to us and have thanked us for like all the work that we have done and like everything that the Trans Resource Guide has provided for them. And I'm just so grateful for that. We have a lot of different things that we want to continue to do in the future concerning the guide. We did hold a virtual space about a month ago or a month and a half ago through Spark, through the Black Sanctuary, that we kind of did like a virtual like soft release of the guide. And we kind of just held space for trans and non-binary folks to kind of like talk about the things that they were going through and like different resources that they felt like they were lacking and different resources that they felt like they could contribute to the community. So yeah, that was pretty much like our process and stuff. I'm sorry if I was really long-winded. But I also wanted to kind of like ask a couple questions to you all. We wanted to kind of like ask when it comes to community and things like that, like what are some things that you feel like, what is a loving community to you? Like, what does a loving community look like to you? And folks can just, popcorn as they see fit, but we kind of just wanted to ask that question. If folks can just give us like a brief little snippet of what community means to them or what a loving community looks like to them. Hey V, there's V, y'all.
I'm sorry, y'all. I just got here. Nice to see you.
Hey friend. So basically, I had kind of gone through everything as far as, well, not everything, but like a lot about what we did in our process of creating the guide and kind of like what it meant to me and things like that. And some of the things that we had done and like the spaces that we had held. But I want to give you space to like introduce yourself and like, talk about it from your side.
Oh, your sound is, oh.
There we go. Yeah, so I love that. My name's V, pronounced they, he. It's just lovely to see all of y'all. And thank you for just being in community. Yeah, so the context, and I'll go ahead and share screen. Never mind, it's disabled.
Oh,
Yeah,
I can allow you to share the screen. 1 second. Let me. Oh, well, actually, Asha, would you mind making me a co-host? I can't do it on my end. Boom. Boom.
thank you. So yeah, so we both had the opportunity to become Light Fellows, leading initiatives for trans equity. And for me, this came at a time of like a continued time of transition within my life. I was still relatively new to Atlanta. I moved, so I'm coming up on a full year. I moved in April of last year. Still trying to figure out, part of why I moved, a big part of why I moved was because of, what nobody knew me. And I was like, as far as, what that meant for like transition, like both social transition, and just coming to understand myself and my trans identity. I knew I wanted to be in a space where I could find like community, where in that Atlanta represented a lot of that for me. And then of course, like there are professional reasons for like my job and stuff, but I really saw this as a hub for like, Black trans life and like opportunities for growing in my understanding myself and just like my participation in community more broadly. And so, the guide, like as we talk about on the like landing page, and I'll go ahead and share screen. The guide really came about, within this broader context of,
a fascism of, continued attacks on trans lives, on our livelihoods, and, a continually shifting landscape as far as, this complexity of having a degree of visibility and that, lending a certain level of access to care for many folks. But at the same time, like, as we see our communities, like within, like public discourse, and we see these rhetorical attacks, like, and again, it's like, the context is, I mean, this isn't like, fresh, just like emerged, like, we can trace it back to, I mean, looking at like the bathroom bills, but even before that, like, there's always been like transness has always represented, in the eyes of cisness, in the eyes of like cis patriarchy, has represented a threat. And so, yeah, like we were looking at it, in terms of like, how can we, ground ourselves in this like larger tradition of like trans people, especially Black trans people, keeping ourselves alive? Like what traditions are we connected to? And a lot of that came about in the research about learning about what kinds of resources are out there, what kinds of guides already exist, from the Trans in the South guide to the Georgia Trans Resource Guide created by Transforming and La Gender. But yeah, it was really important for us to like situate ourselves within broader frameworks of both like reproductive justice and trans liberation. And so it was really fitting that like Spark was the organization that was spearheading, this effort for putting together this particular resource. So yeah, that's like, I guess, kind of like broad strokes, where my head's at. Trinity, did you want to add on anything as far as like context? You're muted.
Oh, you're muted, Trinity.
Can y'all hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. So, no, I was saying that I pretty much had said everything that I wanted to say on my end, but you filled in all the gaps. So thank you so much, friend. I really appreciate that. I was also saying that I had actually started getting into the questions. I was asking some of the folks, like I was asking folks some of the questions that we had talked about. And so one of them was about like what a loving community looks like, or what was the specific question again, friend?
Yeah, just like what a, loving, inclusive, generally just like supported, like your vision of like what a loving, fulfilled trans community could look like what do people have, what do they own, like what does, support look like tangibly, whether you've seen it or whether it's something that you think is aspirational.
Again, this is Coffee Coochie Chocolate Biff. I think when I think about that, I think of, resources like access to healthcare, and not just access, but the ability to have that access paid for, having the resource to pay for the healthcare that the community needs. I would also say, employment opportunities. From my experience, that's particularly when folks are transitioning, it's also kind of a struggle if you're not already working or trying to get work with that process, particularly in a state like Georgia, it's in quote unquote the deep South. So that's just two things I wanted to share.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And 100% agree. Like, I think that when we're thinking, I mean, there's so many struggles that like trans liberation is like deeply connected to, like whether that's talking about, I know that people have talked about like the broader struggle for like healthcare. But it's like whenever we're within these fights, it's so important to think about, okay,
I'm so sorry. My cat is just very vocal today. Um, it's so important to like, I don't know, like I've seen definitely discourse about healthcare where like, I'm like, we could push the needle further. Like we could, instead of just, going for, and like really listen to like the most marginalized people as far as like what our demands are and like what it is that we actually need. So I appreciate you bringing up just like, you know, just grounding us in like knowing that like there are very tangible, like very specific, basic things that like people need. And that this is like such a deeply rooted part of the struggle for trans liberation.
I'm sorry, I just also have to say housing. The issue of housing insecurity is big in my book, and that's, and it goes particularly for our young people, our youth. Housing is the issue, and I'm one of those people too that kind of ascribes to all people need housing regardless of anything, and you can put whatever you want to put behind that, but anything,
I agree. So yeah, another thing that we also want to talk about, like when it comes to like the resource guide and like just resources in general, is just like the ways in which that we can be a resource unto folks in our communities in ways that we may not think. So like in practical ways. Like I know that V and I were having a conversation and we were just discussing just like how people take a lot of the time having a vehicle for granted and don't really realize how much of a privilege and a luxury almost it is to be able to have an automobile, like where you can get to where you got to go every day back and forth. And about like how just sometimes even like lending your time or your service to help somebody get to work or to give somebody a ride to the grocery store or to a job interview or to an opportunity can be a way that you can be a resource to your community. So ways like that in which we challenge folks to not just necessarily think that it's always like, a donation per se, or that it's always like necessarily something that you have to do with legislation or things, but like ways that you can actively help in your community, ways that you can use the resources that you already have, like to really just help push things forward and help someone in need. That doesn't always have to be everybody, but just whatever you can do. I think that the Trans Resource Guide came a lot from like that effort, from like that space of like just us taking what we had and just building up on that, and people from the community just responding with love and just giving whatever they could, and us being able to add them to the resource guide as a resource. So that was a beautiful thing. And I think if we continue to do that, we'll really be able to see like the movement grow, and we'll be able to build upon like a lot of the networks that are already existing for trans folks to get care.
Yeah, I know that. Go ahead, Kay.
Oh, yeah, my bad. I was just gonna say really quickly, just add into what Trini was saying as far as networking, even specifically at another, thinking about it through another lens. So like if you know folks that like being able to plug folks into one another. So like say if you know a lawyer, for example, that can support with like folks getting their name changed, even communicating with them and like kind of building that connection. So maybe they could host a name change workshop for folks in community, or even if you're connected to a doctor that may be able to sign off on some things, for folks in community as well. Super important. I just wanted to add that, but
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think like just building off of everything everyone said, I love that we're talking about like what we can do within our communities as well, because it's definitely important to like call out healthcare and housing and all these things like that we could petition the state to do better for us. But even within our communities, and I don't know if it's like just an age gap thing, but I definitely think we could just show some more basic care. Like even within our Black, queer, and trans communities, I feel like it's like cool to not care now, but we could just all give a little bit more of a fuck, if you know what I mean.
I feel that. Thank you so much. So does anybody have like any other ideas of like in ways that kind of like in what Kay was saying or like what B and I was saying of that they might be able to like extend resources or be a resource to people in their community?
I think personally, I've been doing some like work with other repro orgs and considering how like the work I do in my day job and like digital privacy can help with just like Black, queer, and trans people, especially in the South, like just understanding maybe just like how to navigate everything within like post-Roe era. But I mean, honestly, even aside from reproductive justice, I think overall we kind of need to be more aware of like how we are showing up online, given how the state is like militarizing and everything. So I've just been trying to figure out ways that I can like actually help community members in that way, and not just, you know, the corporations I work for.
I feel that. That's very real. Thank you for sharing it.
Yeah, I know that, you know, something that's helped me grow, I think, as an organizer, I like to think of myself more so as a cultural worker, is really looking at how I can plug, because sometimes we don't have to always like rewrite the book. We don't have to always like start from scratch as far as like reinventing the wheel. I mean, it's great to build skills, but a lot of times I love how Darcel pointed out, you know, pulling skills from your everyday life that you already are utilizing and just kind of pouring that into your communities and thinking about, and especially thinking about how we can move away from like dependency on the state more generally. I think about, you know, for myself, for example, I do graphic design anyway, and I work in like, you know, film and stuff. So it's like, I've naturally kind of gravitated toward roles that have to do with that or have to do with, you know, pull some of those like organizational producer type skills. I'm like, that fits right into organizing. Thinking about like, can I do a flyer here? Like, I know that's something that I've been thinking about, like, oh, maybe I should like start offering like to like help with like mutual aid flyers, or can I lend my car here? I know Trinity like mentioned that before. But again, it's like, there's ways, what I'm learning and what I'm increasingly learning is that, you know, being a decent human, being someone who shows up within your like local community isn't always a matter of like grand actions and grand gestures, right? Like we don't always see the fruits of the immediate, there's not always, I guess, like, you know, an immediate instant gratification of like understanding of like, oh, I have officially like, everybody's liberated now. Like it's a bunch of incremental things. And it's like, you know, being attuned to what's happening in your immediate area. Like you see somebody who needs like, I mean, groceries, you're able to provide grocery support, or you know that there's a specific area where there are youth congregating, you're able to talk to folks. Like I'm learning how things are much simpler than like, I know that I can get in my head, because it's so easy. Like I remember this saying something to the effect of like, you know, pulling at this like broader tapestry, like whatever it is that you're doing in your little corner matters in a broader like grand scheme of things. It's all a matter of drops in the bucket. But a lot of the guide, I will say, came from like, you know, it was interesting, like, you know, because much of the guide like came from like one-on-one conversations. And we had surveys, we had like, you know, emails, and we were doing like direct outreach as well. But a lot, like the heart of it, and I think the heart of a lot of organizing is just one-on-one small group conversations. Because there were some folks who were like, oh, I don't know if I have like any resources or ideas of resources. But once we started talking, and once we started pointing out, like, you know, asking questions about what you wish you had like earlier on that you have now, or asking about where do you feel safe, like asking these very straightforward, direct, like targeted questions, we started realizing that collectively we had more ideas of resources than we realized. So a lot of like what we were asking like had to do with just like feelings of safety, feelings of security, really getting down to those like tangible, like basic needs that people have, and then branching off from there. It's like, and once we got like one idea of a resource, we were able to reach out to them, and then so on and so forth. It kind of coalesced into a broader project.
So yeah, as far as our process and everything, does anybody have any questions about anything that we've done, or how they can access the guide or anything like that? Of course, we have all the information that we're going to provide, the links, and we're going to drop everything in the chat. We also have an Instagram page if y'all want to follow us on Instagram. But did anybody have any questions for us or any comments?
No questions, but or not crazy, but ridiculous. But I just came back from a therapy session, and my therapist is on your guide, and she was talking it up how great it was and how much her other clients loved it. So shout out to y'all.
Oh, thank you. That's so dope. Thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah, I just wanted to say kudos to you all for putting it together and for doing that work. Because it actually, I'm thinking just how it could be a blueprint or a guidepost for other cities to think about creating a resource guide, an independent resource guide for their particular local communities, what that would look like. And then, like we said earlier, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. You all had done the work, and I think quite honestly, it might be something you might want to think about in terms of going on the conference circuit and presenting, doing an abstract and presenting about how you all did this, what the resource guide is, and like digging into it so other people can get an understanding of what you all really did and how it can impact your local communities.
Thank you. That's a great idea. We might have to talk about that.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. I mean, we're honestly like so accepting of we're accepting ideas for one, how to like expand the reach and like get the resource out there. I know currently we have a bunch of cards that are sitting around, and we've been progressively going to like events and like distributing it that way. But then also like definitely still accepting, ideas for how to improve upon it, how to expand upon it. Because the goal is for this to be a long-term like project that's sustained by folks in Atlanta. And just, that it can, it started within the context of Spark, but, definitely the goal is to, continue adjusting it to like our changing circumstances and changing needs. But I love that idea. And I would love to further develop because I know that when we were initially approached about presenting about this, I was like, oh, what are we going to say? Because I mean, we just did it. I think we thought about process, and I think we did some level of like internal documentation and like of documents of like how we did certain stuff, and like we still have like the surveys and different things like that. But I know that's something I've been thinking about is like, okay, maybe we could spend more time kind of like codifying and, as you said, like developing like an abstract of some sort, because the idea is for this to be replicable and for there to be, something that people can point to for like the actual how, and that the process of it matters. So I would definitely love to spend more time like workshopping that. And then just generally, I think that fits into actually another project that Trinity and I talked about a little bit, as far as just like trans Southern like oral histories and just like, community conversations and just a larger project to that end.
It is a larger project, but there's funds out there. Right now, I'm archiving the History of New Georgia project. And a lot of organizations aren't doing that. I mean, it's like we're actually documenting the movement, their movement work, since they've begun. But yeah, those things are they're not as untangible as you might believe. They're really things that you can put your hands on and do. And I'm sorry for monopolizing the time with you guys, but it's but it's I'm a librarian by profession. I'm a historian by profession, but I'm a cultural keeper and memory worker memory holder of community and culture by simply the librarian stuff kind of led into that because I'm a storyteller, but I'm also an editor. And so, you know, and I'll say this, that I am available to lend those resources to you all, you know, as part of my contribution to community.
Oh, thank you.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, we
I
definitely
was gonna say,
appreciate
I need
that.
your contact. I'm about to need to get your contact info because I'm in the
Okay.
vein of like, I'm like still, I've been considering like librarianship and like going to like graduate school and just figuring out like where I fit into like movement work more generally. I'm finding that like I'm interested in like cultural preservation, like the archiving of like community memory and like collective memory. And like I'm like progressively finding people who are like interested in that. We'll talk.
Yeah, definitely. I'll put something in the chat for you.
Ultimately, I feel that this and again, like, you know, this is like this project is definitely like the ATL trans guide is definitely built upon, I mean, it's steeped in, I mean, even the way about going out about it is definitely steeped in larger traditions, especially Black traditions of like oral storytelling and memory work, because that's what a one-on-one conversation is. That's what, you know, even the idea of creating as a collective project and like doing that open call, because a big part of the project was we just did open calls, like multiple open calls for like people to contribute information. We were pleasantly surprised at the volume of information that we got, so much so that not everything made it into the first iteration of the guide. And so we've started like a running document of edits for volume 2. But, you know, just knowing that there is so much interest in, I mean, we've gotten a lot of positive feedback and like people have expressed interest in wanting to continue it. And so I think that a definite goal of ours is to continue keeping this as a project that is, you know, community made and like emphasizing that part and helping people to understand that like when we say it's community made, that means that like no contribution is too small. Like if you can just give us like one idea of a resource or tell us about like these you know, things are weaving into like a larger fabric,
right?
That goes beyond like the initial like scope of the project.
So did you have anything else you wanted to say, Fran?
You talking to me?
Anyone.
Or if anyone, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate it. I mean, you know, I always try to like center like my humanity and my experience and everything that I do. And like I said earlier, like working on this with V and even being a part of this fellowship was very, very like it just really changed my life, like and just the path of like where my life was going at the current time when I started the fellowship. And as a trans person, I just feel like having opportunities like this to be able to do this type of work and to find purpose and to find opportunities, like to not even just give it what you got, but to also like make a little bit of money and eat and pay your rent and just get by, you know what I'm saying? Like having those type of opportunities where you don't have to be up in nobody's face all day for 8 hours, that's gonna misgender you or name you or disrespect you. You know what I'm saying? We need more of that. And I'm just so grateful for giving us the opportunity to be able to even create this guide, you know, and I hope that this work continues long after us. And, you know, this network of trans care like within the community has always existed. I think it's just time for us to really like emphasize it and like strengthen it in a real way. And like really put some real money and some real support behind it. You know what I'm saying? Behind us, because for real, like we are that we got. You know what I mean? Like if we're not gonna do it for us, they clearly not gonna do it for us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, we have a lot of different things that like V was saying we want to do in the future. And we just pray like that y'all continue to like plug in with us and like stay connected. We're gonna continue to keep the conversation going about getting this care that we all so desperately deserve and need for real, for real.
Yeah.
And we just thank y'all for everything. And
Yeah, I've been on a Spark newsletter for sometimes I get all the emails from Spark, and sometimes I just come in and I don't say anything. But today, I just felt compelled to share. One of the things that I do want you to know, V, is that I don't know if you've ever heard of StoryCorps.
I have heard of StoryCorps,
So
yes.
StoryCorps actually, that's a resource. It actually comes out of Smithsonian Institute, and so there's, you can, yeah, we'll talk. But I put my email in the chat, cycleforfreedom@gmail.com.
Got it. I will shoot you an email.
Just reach out to me and we'll go from there.
Yeah, because a few of us are actually we'll talk, but also I do want to put it out there that a few of us, SJ Dillon, I don't know if anyone knows SJ Dillon from Emory, but they reached out to me recently talking about wanting to develop a project of like queer, trans, specifically trans, like Southern. This is a project that like separate people like who have like similar ideas and are trying to like, assemble folks and figure out who we need to be talking to. And I know that I'm reaching out to, I was recently introduced to Dartrisha from PSL and from the Georgia Dusk Oral History Project.
Okay.
And so it's like there's these, and if for folks who aren't familiar, Georgia Dusk is this project documenting stories from birth workers, reproductive justice advocates, abortion workers, and like all Black folks. And I could find their Instagram and plug it in there as well. But I heard a section of that at a CARES event. And that's like another person who is like on my radar of like, need to talk, need to connect. Because again, like we think about, historically and just like, we always know that, with fascism, with larger efforts at both at cultural erasure, at genocide, like the first thing that people try to do is like get rid of the archives and of like documentation and the history of people and of their communities. And so it's like, I think there's a definite need. Thankfully, that there's ongoing work in different places that people are doing to document, the here and now, document our stories, document our histories, document our communities. But yeah, I just definitely feel like, especially in the here and now, like, the need for more of that, more memory workers, more cultural workers, more like cultural preservation more generally. And it's like, the intentionality behind who it is that we're centering. Like, we don't have to, yes, there are some wonderful academics out there, but like, we don't have to go to the academy. We don't have to do these projects within the context of the academy. In fact, oftentimes these are spaces that are hostile to our existence and hostile to our stories and like the ownership of our narrative. And so I know that's something I'm highly interested in, that I'm constantly interested in, is like deprofessionalization of, of skill shares, of taking resources that many of us gained within these institutions, and sharing it as far and wide as we can, like with the people, and helping people to understand that, especially with like cultural work and like with memory work specifically, it's like we have the tools already, like with the ownership of our own narratives, and many of us many of us have phones, many of us have we have pen and paper. Like there's very practical ways to go about preserving our narratives. It's just a matter of sharing the skills and emphasizing the necessity of it. And so yeah, I'm always excited to be meeting folks who are kind of similarly like, vain in terms of like their interest in their work, and also cognizant of its pressing relevance, and its relevance.
Well, I'm excited to meet you too, Gil.
I also wanted to just thank y'all again. I'm not closing out or anything. I'm just saying that as well. Like, I'm just really thankful for y'all. I appreciate y'all so much. And also, like, it's just so beautiful. It feels really amazing to kind of see like all the things come to light as far as even with the resource guide and all the work that y'all put in it. And I remember when y'all looked at it, like there was still, we had some things together. It was just like, but not enough, So I'm really happy that we were able to like bring you all in and just have y'all deep dive into the work and like just seeing the product, seeing the resource guide overall, the artwork, all of the everything, just all the work that y'all put behind it. I just want to say that I appreciate y'all. And I tell y'all all the time, but I really appreciate y'all so much.
Yeah, we appreciate you. Like, I just want to shout out specifically like Kay. Like, Kay is like the brains and beauty behind the Light Fellowship. Like she is the one who has like advocated for this program to exist and then like has continued it. Like we're 2 years, like however much longer to go, but like two beautiful cohorts have emerged out of this. And Kay's also always looking out for trans folks and opportunities for us to get paid, even just being. And so I'm especially grateful to you and for all that you've taught us as far as just like what it is to yeah, take up space and look damn good doing it. So thank you, Kay.
Of course, of course. But did y'all have anything else? If not, I mean, we could close out.
Well, I initially, I temperature check. I had in the presentation had included a clip from like a Sylvia Rivera speech.
Oh yeah.
But I could either play it or give the link. Like, what are y'all thinking?
Yeah, I'm cool with whatever folks are thinking. Just normally we stop at 7:30, but it doesn't necessarily matter. But if folks want to stay, we can definitely go ahead and do that.
Okay, cool. I'll go ahead and play it then. I just, we had this question like when we were initially mapping everything out. And again, I'm so sorry for being late. Traffic was just doing the most. But I think it's so critically important to remember, honor, uplift, and expand upon our radical roots. Like 50 years ago, Sylvia Rivera gave a speech at the Christopher Day Liberation Parade, which is the Pride Parade. It was in 1973. And content note, like there's mention of sexual assault, but basically like the context of this speech was like, really calling to attention the fact that many folks within the gay movement or like within the, and there's always been this tension between assimilation and liberation. There's always been this tension historically between those who want to assimilate into straight society versus those who want to liberate us from the strictures and from the restrictions of straight society. But I'm gonna just play the speech because I think that it's just such a timely key reminder of like our radical roots and what it is to, have like an expansive vision of gay liberation, of queer liberation, of trans liberation. So bear with me. Can y'all see my screen?
It still says that you're sharing, like that you've started to share.
Okay, so it's not actually sharing.
Yeah, not yet.
Okay. Okay.
Hi, lady. Y'all better quiet down. Nothing. I've been trying to get up here all day for your gay brothers and your gay sisters in jail. They write me every motherfucking week and ask for your help. And you all don't do a goddamn thing for them. Have you ever been beaten up and raped in jail? Now think about it. They've been beaten up and raped after they haven't spent much of their money in jail to get their cell phones and tried to get their sex change. The women have tried to fight for their sex changes or to become women of the women's liberation. And they write STAR, not the women's group. They do not write women. They do not write men. They write STAR because we're trying to do something for them. I have been to jail. I have been raped and beaten many times by men, heterosexual men that do not belong in the homosexual shelter. But do you do anything for them? No. You all tell me to go and hide my tail between my legs. I will not longer put up with this shit. I have been beaten. I have had my nose broken. I have been thrown in jail. I have lost my job. I have lost my apartment for gay liberation. And you all treat me this way? What the fuck's wrong with you all? Think about that. I do not believe in a revolution, but you all do. I believe in the gay power. I believe in us getting our rights, or else I would not be out there fighting for our rights. That's all I wanted to say to your people. If you all want to know about the people that are in jail, and do not forget Bambi Lamore and Dora Marks, Kenny Messner, and other gay people that are in jail, come and see the people at Star House on 12th Street, on 640 East 12th Street, between B and C, apartment 14. The people that are trying to do something for all of us, and not men and women that belong to a white middle class, white club. And that's what you all belong to. Revolution now! Give me a G! Give me an A! Give me a Y! Give me a P! Give me an O! Give me a W! Give me an E! Give me an R! Gay power! Louder gay power!
Thank you so much for sharing that, friend. That was amazing.
I agree. It was.
And with that, yeah, good night. And I mean, yeah, continue pushing for queer liberation, for trans liberation, and remembering and uplifting our transcestors, and stay radical.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.